Okay, so welcome everybody. People are still rolling in. Great to have you. Welcome to Lunch Without Lunch. Can you share slides? We're whispering to each other over here. You can still hear us though. Gary's sandwich has some greenery in it today. Like it. I like it. I have a sandwich too, Gary, so I'll join you in a moment. Lunch with lunch. So we'd like to welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bridget Legault, the community manager with Rainforest Alberta in Calgary. And we have Amber Rowden here, our community storyteller. We have Gail Powley from our Edmonton Rainforest Steering Committee, and there could be other Edmontonian Steering Committee members. If you're there, please do say hi in the chat. In the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge that for those of us in the Calgary area, we work and play on the unceded territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, including the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, and the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes here upon Treaty 7. And for those in the Edmonton area, we acknowledge the traditional lands of Treaty 6 territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. That's putting little black spots on the thing. So if you're in another neck of the woods, please do share what traditional territories you reside and work and play upon. And if you're unfamiliar with what those territories are, there's a great website called, I think it's native-lands.ca, that can help you identify what the traditional territory of your area. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gail, who will give us a bit of an introduction to the rainforest.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Welcome all to the rainforest. I was just typing a note in the chat to encourage everyone to introduce yourself in the chat and provide some connections, because of course, that's one of the important things. As you can see on the slide, that the rainforest is about connecting. We're bringing innovators, doers, dreamers, connectors, and builders all together here today at the rainforest and in the rainforest community. Next slide, please. Little video here.
What does it take to realize an idea or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
Outstanding. So we use 6 pillars here at the rainforest to guide our conversations and actions, and not all are weighted equally. Like any ecosystem, the right balance is crucial. These are measured each year through our summits and our scorecard assessments, with a balance on culture, leaders, resources, engaged activities, policy and infrastructure, and role models. We often talk to one of these pillars each session, and the pillar of the day or the week, Bridget, is it drum roll? Next slide.
Sorry, Amber has no audio, so she can't hear you. We got it.
That's okay. So perhaps it's the slide after that. I might have given a spoiler there. So tips to making the most of these sessions, the Lunch Without Lunch sessions, is introduce yourself in the chat, as we have already mentioned, and it's wonderful to see that conversation going. It would be great to mention what you're working on, what you're looking for, what you can offer. There's often a what you're looking for, so that everyone can help crowdsource that opportunity for innovation, as well as what you can offer. Paying it forward is always wonderful and builds collaborations and the culture we are seeking. So please connect with individuals through direct messaging, put your cameras on so we can get to know you and develop a relationship and identify you in the community and beyond. Feel free to ask positive questions in the chat and keep connecting on Rainforest Slack workspace. With that, oh yes, the recordings are posted on YouTube. Next slide. Is this the drum roll? Is this the spoiler? Let's see, next slide. Diversity on the social contract. So I embrace diversity, strive to create equal opportunity for every person, and I'm open to meeting anyone in this community. Certainly we have learned a lot from each other, and we learn more from people that are different from us than are the same. So diversity is such an important value. And thank you for this opportunity to share the opening words. Bridget,
Wonderful.
back over to you.
Gail. Thank you, Gail. As many of you know, Amber and I have been in a course every Wednesday, so we haven't been at Lunch Without Lunch much. And we thank all the volunteers who are helping us keep things going while we're busy with that. And here we are back today, a little rusty, skipping out on our course because we just missed you all so much. I did just want to share, adding to that diversity comment, we just shared the results of the 2020 scorecard assessment with the Calgary Innovation Coalition, which is a group of 45 plus partners working to support Calgary's tech ecosystem, and there are various regional innovation networks across the province. A lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion recommendations are in that report. We'll put the link in the chat for the scorecard report. If you haven't seen it, it is newly, for Calgary, it is newly revamped and has so much information and data that is meant to be used within your organizations. So whether you're a support organization in the ecosystem, or you are running a startup, or you're working within a startup, have a look at this report and please share how you can help implement some of the recommendations within. It's not just for us as a Rainforest community to do, but the entire Calgary tech ecosystem. And we will be running a little contest if you'd like to share how you're implementing the recommendations from the scorecard through Watch Our Socials to win 2 free tickets to the Inventors Conference in June. Ooh, Amber's on it with the cues. Okay, so today we have generally been hearing from founders throughout the Calgary or Edmonton or Alberta scene. And today we are going to hear from an established founder, the founder of ZayZoon, Darcy, who's the CEO and co-founder. And I'll let Darcy share more about ZayZoon. I won't go there. But Darcy has been around supporting the ecosystem in through various organizations. And he was previously the co-founder and president of Spirit Data Corp for 11 years. And he serves as past chair on the board of the Missing Children Society of Canada and has been a director there since 2011. Darcy and I only got to meet just somewhat recently, and it's really exciting the work he's doing with ZayZoon, definitely across North America, maybe global markets. I don't know. We'll hear more from Darcy now. So Darcy, I'm going to pass it over to you, and hopefully you can share your screen all right there. So we'll hear from Darcy. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. And once Darcy's done presenting, we will also, you can also put your hand up and unmute to ask any questions. And after that, we'll head into breakout rooms to chat more, one in small groups. And then community announcements will be back at the top of the hour, so you can get your announcements ready for that. Over to you, Darcy.
Great, thank you very much, Bridget and Gail. This is the last time I was at Rainforest. I have to put up my hand. It was an in-person event, so it's good to be back. I was kind of curious about whether this was going to be in person, given things have really opened up. But in person or virtual, it's so nice to be here, and it's so nice to see this evolution of Alberta's tech ecosystem. I'm going to out myself for how old I am. My very first tech company I started was in 1999, And that was when, before it was cool to be an entrepreneur and have a tech company. And there were a lot of headwinds in that journey. But fast forwarding 22, 23 years and seeing this ecosystem and being a platform, which is just incredible, it's energizing, and it gives me tremendous hope, for us Albertans, for my kids, for this community. So thank you, everybody, for your courage and willingness to contribute. So I'm just going to confirm you can see my screen here. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
We can,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so my name is Darcy Tuer. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ZayZoon. ZayZoon's a financial technology company, and we've been on our journey for almost 6 years now, which that's hard for me to admit. One of the things Bridget suggested was contrasting kind of the value system and the company against rainforests, core tenants. And so I put together, my marketing team would kill me because I put this together. It's really ugly, but it makes my point. So I want to start with ZayZoon's core values. So I've had a few of these tech companies. To some people, core values are fluffy. There's something that you might put on the wall and you never talk about again. And I can tell you, with 60 employees and counting, if you pulled any one of our employees aside and asked them what ZayZoon's core values are, they would be able to tell you what they are and give you an example of our core values at work. So for us, it's hustle, it's owning what we're doing, taking it to the next level. It's trust, trying to do the right thing. You're not always successful in that pursuit, but that's the intent. We are people driven. So we're there for our customers. We're there for each other as employees. We're there for our investors and other stakeholders involved in our mission, for our community, which is what Rainforest is all about. And mastery. We're in a world where you wake up in the morning and you don't know what world you're waking up in. So we want to be constant students and learners, apply that knowledge to betterment and positive impact. And so I think if you contrast that against the Rainforest social contract, some of the values that I pulled out here, there's a nice Venn relationship. There's certainly alignment there. So as an entrepreneur, more than 2 decades, if you look at my career, I've started to index much more towards social impact, to ESG, being part of something that can have an impact that I'm proud to share with my kids, but has tremendous commercial upside. Commercial upside certainly relates to sustainability, right? So I've been part of not-for-profit, Missing Children Society, as it was measured or mentioned earlier. Running around with your hat out is one thing. It's not sustainable. It's really difficult. It's really competitive. But to build an ESG-based org with a great business model, that's how you create incredible impact. And that's what we're doing at ZayZoon. So our mission at ZayZoon is to materially improve the financial health of all employees through highly effective and highly engaging financial solutions. That's what we get out of bed every morning to do. And so it's gratifying work, it's purpose-led work, and it's something that we're all proud to be a part of. So when we started ZayZoon, we've got some budding entrepreneurs, I'm sure, on the call here. We got really, really curious about a problem. And this problem related to the fact that more than 70% of employees live paycheck to paycheck, 70. And we couldn't believe it. And we thought to ourselves, well, this is an epidemic. At the time, epidemic probably wasn't mentioned as often, but we're like, this is an epidemic, a financial epidemic in the US and Canada and so many other geographies. And as we started to get curious and kind of unpack the problem here, we saw that households were dealing with income volatility. We saw that people would prefer a means to kind of balance out their cash flow so they could make ends meet. People now more than ever are running side hustles just to try to make ends meet, but they don't have the fundamental knowledge to be the best custodians of their financial security and their financial health. So how can we help these 80 million Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck? And as we looked at this, we thought, well, what options are available to them today? And of course, we discovered payday loan companies. We looked at their business model. And what blew us away was there are more payday loan companies in the US than McDonald's and Starbucks combined. But these are shops that are charging people 400% interest. How can there be so many? Well, because it's an epidemic and we haven't found the cure. We looked at banks and I thought, well, banks have these big, beautiful balance sheets. Why aren't they putting them to work? Well, banks want one customer with $1 million. They don't want 1 million customers with $1. Now that's changing with Neo, with Chime, and some of these other banks. But at the time, this just wasn't being addressed. And we looked at it and said, well, how can we apply technology in a way that could help people deal with these moments in time where they're sitting in their car at a gas station and they're thinking to themselves, okay, I need my car to get to work. I've got to put some fuel in the car, but I got to feed the family tonight and rent's coming out in 3 days. What a terrible position to be in. I've been in that position before, and it's terrible. The stress is consuming. And so these are the people, this is why they make the irrational choice to go to a payday lender. What if they could pull up an app and access not a loan, access money they've already earned? So for almost 80 years, we've been paid every 2 weeks, once a month. And that's okay, because that's just the way things are. That's the status quo. But why? Halfway through payroll, you're effectively a creditor to your employer. Your employer owes you that money, but they're using you and their vendors to finance their businesses. And often they don't have the money to pay you daily anyway. So what if we could provide that utility for employers to open up to the people they pay, the 70% of people that are living paycheck to paycheck? So you can fill up your car, you can put food on the table, you can make rent 3 days from now because it's your money, you have a right to it. So we built an app that's customer focused, where you onboard yourself in less than 90 seconds. You can see what you've earned. You can access up to 50% of your earnings, so you can leverage the money you've already earned to buy the essentials. 85% of the advances that we provide to customers are for essentials, for medication, for fuel, for groceries, to pay utility bills. So why not give people access to that utility? They've earned it. As we've grown, we've thought of different ways that we can improve that access. Again, we're trying to improve employee financial wellness through empowering financial products. So we've now recently launched something I'm really, really proud of, which is the ZayZoon Visa debit card. And think of it this way, this is effectively a bank account that we can provide to Americans to access their wages whenever they want for free. And the other beautiful benefit of this is there are 14 million Americans in the US. As Canadians, we don't have this problem, but there are 14 million Americans that do not have a bank account. So they get paid by their employer, they receive a paper check every 2 weeks, they take that to a pawn shop where they can get that cash, or a check casher, and they'll pay 10% on their funds, on funds they've earned and worked hard for. We now have the ability for them to, in a few minutes, activate a card. It loads onto their phone, ships a physical card in the mail, start using that to pull their wages on demand, and get the utility of having a bank account and being able to access money they've earned for the essentials that they need. So we know that almost 90% of our customers are saying that we've reduced their financial stress. And that's important because one of our stakeholders are the employers, because we ask employers to turn this on by way of the payroll partners that we've established in that US market. So this is an important tool for an employer in a day where we're dealing with incredible labor scarcity, where I can say, hey, I can offer all of my employees access to their wages. ZayZoon underwrites it. ZayZoon provides that. We provide an incredible technology that's frictionless for them to do that. It's turnkey for the employer. It helps the employer recruit, retain, and makes for a more productive employee. A less stressed employee is a more productive employee. So our business is focused on the SMB market. So think of it as small, mid-sized business, 2,000 employers or less. We're the category leader in this market, which I'm proud of as a Canadian, as a Calgarian. Say we're the category leader in the US for earned wage access in the small business market. So we've served over 50,000 customers. And the beautiful thing about this for the business is there are 70 million people in the US in this SMB category that could benefit from being able to access a financial product like ZayZoon. So we're really just getting started. And this is us just getting started. We have over 3,000 businesses in the US that have offered this up to employees. Now we need to have 1 million businesses. We need all the businesses to offer this because this should just be available for everybody, along with the other financial wellness products that we're rolling out. Now, being an entrepreneur is an exercise of masochism combined with insanity. And if this chart doesn't illustrate that, I don't know what will, but this has been our journey since just pre-COVID, where you can see on the left side of the chart, we had some great growth as a business. We're working with institutional investors to get that Series A funding round so we could bring this to the masses. And then of course, COVID hits, we've all dealt with it, we're dealing with it. We started to build the business back up. You can see a year ago, the US government's solution to this was to deploy $2 trillion into the US market in terms of stimulus. Now that's great. I wrote a blog post on this. I said, it's a great thing to be able to offer your citizens, but it's temporary. And so you could see this immediate drop in our revenue because the US government had put $1,600 in every American's jeans. Our average customer needs $400 a month to normalize their cash flow. So we, of course, were impacted kind of commensurate with the money that was deployed into that US market. Again, that's temporary. It's only exacerbated the issue. We're at all-time highs for inflation, or at least within the last 30 years. We're seeing interest rates go up. So of course, the need for something like ZayZoon is more important than ever. We've grown our business. Now there's a weekly measurement of revenue. We've grown our business almost 600% since that dip last April. So, again, it shows the need for something like this. Now we've got a free product that people can access. It still generates revenue for us. So I couldn't be more excited about the future for ZayZoon. Now, what I want to share as an Alberta entrepreneur is that we're Alberta funded. So we've raised $24 million in equity to date, largely from Albertans, so largely from this ecosystem. If I tried to do that back in 1999, I would not be an entrepreneur. So this is just something I'm really, really proud of. We raised $12 million in debt. That's the money that goes to our customers that we obviously get back through our payroll partners. We're 60 plus employees now. We expect to be around 100 by the end of the year. And the other stat that goes back to culture is it's ENPS. So that's your net promoter score as measured by your employees. So out of a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to tell family and friends that ZayZoon's a great place to work? That's a 72 on a scale of -100 to +100. So that's a best in class score. To me, it's not good enough. How do we make it better? Embrace and live our core values, hold each other accountable to those. Out of that will manifest an incredible culture and we'll win because of our culture. We've put together an incredible team that I couldn't be more proud of. A wonderful board with the likes of Marcos Lopez, who ran Solium ShareWorks and sold that to Morgan Stanley, and thankfully now has a bit more time on his hands because he's retired from that role. So we're set up really well as an Alberta-based company to have incredible social impact because we've got an amazing culture, the right business model, and we're in Calgary, where I think that you couldn't be in a better place in the world to build a tech company. Now I think I've got staff from other geographies, so I'm not alienating other geographies, of course, staff on the call here, but the company is a Calgary-based business. Being a Calgarian, I'm incredibly proud to build something this exciting in our own backyard. So really I'll stop there and happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Darcy. Really exciting recent momentum. That's fabulous. Questions, guys? We never have a quiet crowd, so I'll throw it over to everyone. You must have offices, or do you have offices here? Or are you totally hybrid or remote?
So we were probably one of the first businesses when they did shelter in place in the US. The next day, I sent an email to staff and I said, so we're all Calgary based at the time. Generally, we have a small office in Scottsdale. I said, it's up to you whether you want to come in. Like, we're a tech company. So the next day, I think 3 people came in. It was the 3 co-founders. So we wrapped up that office pretty quickly and then decided from a hiring perspective, let's just find the best people. If they happen to be in Calgary, we'll index to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's expensive hiring out of the US, as everybody knows. So yeah, 60 people. I think we're half Canadian, half American. And so we're just going to try to find the best, basically.
Questions, folks? Who wants to jump in?
So Darcy, you say your target is our SMEs. You have a really great map across the states. And so what's your uptake in Alberta, or how is that rolling out? And how can we help you with that uptake in Alberta?
So we actually started in Canada, and our go-to-market strategy is by way of partnering with payroll companies. And we partnered with one, and we could not get another payroll company to save our life. So we actually pivoted the whole business to the US. We partnered with 130 payroll companies in the US, representing 150,000 businesses, 15 million employees, and we're partnered with ADP. So we're 100% US based in terms of revenue right now. As a Canadian, I'd love to bring it up to Canada, but as an entrepreneur, if you have to spend $1 to acquire a customer, and we built all this infrastructure, it would be irresponsible today, I think, to bring it into Canada at this moment. But that's certainly going to be a medium-term goal for us.
Well, you've done a great job. It's just, if we could help you, let us know.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it really, honestly, just building out the ecosystem, talent, that keeps me up at night. Obviously, that we're all dealing with that same problem.
Yeah, that's for sure. Go ahead. Is it Miriam?
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much, Darcy. That was awesome. I guess I'm a little maybe confused on a few things. So your main target is employers, not the employees, but how does that work? Where does the banks come in? So those that have bank accounts, as you were saying, like, how does that kind of work? Because is it the employees' money is being placed within ZayZoon, or did I get that wrong?
No, and that's fair. I tend to talk too much, so I'm like, how do I distill this down? And but I'll give you the quick rundown on the business model. So we partner with, so we're B2B2C, which is very difficult, but if you can solve for B2B2C, and sometimes we're B2B2B2C, if you can solve for that, you've built an incredible moat, because it's complicated. So we partner with payroll. And they like us because they're in a commoditized business. So they're like, hey, we can offer daily pay. We can't do it ourselves. So we partner with payroll. We compel them to create referrals of the businesses that they provide payroll services to. They come in as inbound opportunities. Our sales team presents to the business. So the business watches a video. They're like, oh my gosh, earned wage access. This is amazing. It'll help me recruit, retain, make for more productive employment. We can we can activate that business in less than 60 minutes. So 50% of the businesses in the US today, we can activate in less than 60 minutes. And so our growth strategy is just let businesses know they can offer ZayZoon if they're using payroll that we're partnered with. We provide the capital. So an employee learns about ZayZoon, they see it on a poster, they get an email, they open up our app, they can onboard in 90 seconds, and they say, oh, I've got $200 that I've already earned. They hit a button, we send the $200. We either charge a flat fee, or they load it to our card, or they put on a gift card is another mechanism we have. So it can help give them better purchasing power for fuel, groceries. Then we just register with the payroll company, hey, this employee took $200, they owe us $5 on top of that. So when they run payroll, we get paid back. So we have a capital pool. We're deploying the capital. That's really important, because businesses, as us business owners know, working capital is one of our most scarce resources. So we fund it on behalf of the business, and we've got a risk algorithm. So we make sure the capital that goes out, we get back, basically. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that definitely cleared it up a little bit more. Thanks so much.
We have a question in the chat from Megan. Alan, though, if you want to go first, and then we'll go to Megan's next, and then Ross.
Cool. So really interesting. I really think that this is really a great business. So when you register them and then you go back and you tell the payroll company that you've got a person that took out $200, so do you already have an agreement that you can charge them for that $200, or and how and what do you charge the company?
That's a great question, Alan. So it's really technology driven, right? So we're plugged into the payroll company's APIs. If they don't have them, we'll build the APIs, like the application interface. So then when the business says they want it, they agree to our terms. So they sign an electronic document. We basically just have to flip a switch, and now we can offer this service to those employees. The businesses by law are not allowed to charge the employee for the service, but we can, because we're providing it as a separate, basically, product and service to the employee. Ultimately, I would like this to be free for everyone. Our card, we make money on the interchange. So, every time you use your Visa or MasterCard, the merchant pays a fee. So that's how like the Chime banks or the Neos of the world would make their revenue. So it's almost like a Trojan horse model for us to offer that through the business to employees, where they trust us. We give them money when they're at almost the most desperate moment. And trust is an incredibly important emotion in fintech if you want to transact with a customer. And it's one of our core values, which is not a coincidence.
It's one of the
And so what do you charge them? Like, what do you charge the employee for taking the money?
Yeah, when we rolled out and we had to build a revenue model and we didn't have economies of scale, we came up with a flat fee. So we thought, you know what, this is like an ATM. I open my phone, I hit a button, the money arrives in my bank account instantly. So we charge a $5 flat fee. So you want $200 and you want it while you're sitting at the gas pump, you hit a button, you get it instantly. You'd be surprised how many customers we have going to our chat. They're like, hey, I'm at the grocery store. Does this really come instantly? And so just knowing someone's in line at the grocery store, they don't have money to pay for food. They can access, $100, $200 for $5, and it's instantly in their account. So,
and that's in that Visa debit card that you give them.
If they're using our Visa debit card, it's free. They actually just pull the money onto the card. Then when they use it at the grocer, we get bips on whatever they get charged to that card.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for the questions, guys. I was hoping it'd be interactive.
Always engaged activities at the Rainforest. Megan's question is about if you plan to extend support into other areas of well-being, like, for example, physical, mental, through payment of health benefits. And Megan, feel free to unmute if you want to add context.
All right.
Go for it, Darcy. I can add after if you want.
All right, awesome. So the way we think about it is where's the most pain, right? And right now it's been, hey, let's give people access to that, like, pressure relief valve. Let's give them money when they need it so they buy an essential. We've already started layering in other products. We really are focused on financial well-being right now, but we've layered in products where they can now get a 5% discount on all the fuel they buy, because we all know fuel is more expensive than ever, and it's an essential. We're partnered with a company that provides up to 80% reduction on medication costs. So Clever, they can use that. We're partnered with Savvy. Savvy reduces your car insurance costs by up to $800 a year. So those are affiliate products, right? And you want to be careful about how you do affiliate work, but then we've also integrated into our platform financial education, the ability to load money, the ability to do budgeting, see where you're spending your money, and provide nudges like, hey, Megan, it looks like based on your next rent check, you might NSF your account. We do not want your bank charging you $35 for not making that go through, right? So we'll nudge you, and we'll start to try to build habits and behavior that help you become a better financial custodian of your own financial security and health. So we will start to build out that suite. One thing I learned, though, and it's surround yourself with great entrepreneurs like Marcos and Ryan, who's a co-founder of Chime Bank. He's like, make your one product sing. We have 20,000 customers that use us regularly. We could have millions, right? Make that one product sing. Make sure you really get the unit economics right, because you're not going to get funded just for growth. You've got to have margins. You've got to have a business plan. Line of sight to cash flow someday would be nice too.
Good lessons learned. Ross had a question in the chat, and he has his hand up. So Ross, you can go next, and then we'll go David and Steve, and then into breakouts.
I was curious if you have much data on the demographics of your users, because it sounds like it's a lot of people that are in at-risk scenarios or might be having trouble, and if there's a possibility for that to be shared or used with other organizations.
Yeah, the demographics are, so yes, we do have that data. We're careful about the data, but super high level, you'd be surprised. Like we have a lot of customers that make 6 figures in annual income. That's US. It's split almost evenly between men and women. Our average income earner is probably around that $35,000 to $40,000 a year mark. Some really interesting stats though, and it helps inform the product. Most of our customers are credit ratings between 300 and 500, which that's not great. Most of them have or are using a payday loan, so we need to cure them of that. One of the biggest financial stresses are bill payments. 75% of them own a car, so that's where car insurance came in. Very few of them own a house. Almost nobody invests in 401ks, which would be like a later financial product. You'd want to surface once they've got their kind of the dumpster fire has been put out. Now we can start to be proactive, right?
That's fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. Dave, do you want to go next?
Yeah, have you considered use in the developing world? And would you like to run a pilot project in Jamaica, for example?
So David, it's funny because I think the altruistic side of me was really leaning towards that, especially this as a global opportunity. We're on a global committee now with ADP and other earned wage access providers to look at specifically that. We launched in Australia and Colombia, and to be honest, the businesses were going well. But then my board came in and we were looking at the data and the investment, and we thought, you know what, we have to focus. We've got to be focused on one thing, do it really, really well, and then we can start to add and diversify. So I'd be interested, but at this time, that's probably a 2 or 3 year out kind of thing for us.
Okay, we'll go over to Steve. Again, we have one more. Anon, is it? And then we'll head into breakouts after that so we can all share together.
Hey, Darcy, thanks for sharing today. It's pretty exciting stuff. And I think it could help a lot of people. So I have two small questions, but first one is what's in your next 1 year, 2 year roadmap? What are you guys what are you most focused on?
Yeah, you saw that map of the US, right? It looked really impressive because I made all the pins really big, so covered the US. But if you actually look at that's 3,000 businesses out of millions of potential businesses. So really the focus is make earned wage access sing. That could be on our card, gift cards, direct cash to our customers' bank account. We have 3,000 employers by the end of the year using it, offering it. We want to be at 8,000 by the end of the year. So this year is about 3xing our business. The following year, honestly, it's about 3xing the business. And even then, that only gets us to about 200,000 customers that we're serving, probably on the similar products. Hopefully they're, they've been optimized and they're prettier and they're more accessible. But that's really it. It's that laser focus on that.
So how are you guys, how do you guys go to market then?
Yeah, so our go-to-market, a couple things. So we just closed a financing, and I just want to mention that not from a vanity perspective, but capital conservation and preservation is so important right now for companies. So closing your financing, getting capital in the door as a CEO, that's your number one job. And then creating and managing your runway is really important. So to answer your question on go-to-market, what we do is we figure out what works, how much of the addressable or serviceable market is in that cohort, and we focus on that, right? Because we know we can then spend $1 and we can turn that dollar into $10 in a 5-month time horizon and double down on that. So our go-to-market is partner with payroll, get them to compel their employers to activate us, and then we have a B2C marketing engine that will generate, referrals is a good thing, referrals is a great channel. We'll ship posters, right? So offline ads. There's a great book called Traction, How to Achieve Hyper Growth. It'll help you dial in 19 marketing channels down to your 3 or 4 with experiments to inform and teach you to invest in only a few. And so we know what those are for B2B and B2C.
That's awesome. We actually have a really active traction consultant in the community. Christopher's last name escapes me, but he's usually here, not here today. All right, we'll head to the last question before breakouts.
Yes. Hi, Darcy. So you have a really nice product that is helping people get the money before it's paid. But I think that people living paycheck to paycheck is also due to behavioral issues that people end up spending and they can't control. And if you are paying them upfront, when the time really comes to pay the rent, they are, they have no money left. How are we handling this kind of behavioral issues?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question, and it's a common one. I think about this. Here's how I think about it. Now, keep in mind, we're not giving them money that they haven't earned, right? So in a perfect world, like Uber, in a perfect world, you finish driving that one person, the money hits your account, right? Most businesses can't afford to do that. So I'm going to share how I explain this to my kids when they think about their finances. Like my son's got a job at the Stampede. At the end of it, he's 15. At the end of those 10 days, he's going to have $1,000 in his bank account. And the way you want to think about it is you didn't get $1,000 in one day, even though it landed in your account. If you make $1,000 every week, you have to take that $1,000, subtract what it costs for rent, what it costs for food, what your entertainment budget is, and divide that by 7. And what you're going to learn is you have $8 a day for frivolous spending or entertainment. You don't have $1,000. You have this feeling of abundance. It's false, right? You every day have $8 to spend. So I'm not going to buy my groceries at the corner store. I'm going to go to Superstore, right? I'm going to use ZayZoon's card to help me get better buying power on fuel and groceries. So the behavioral and root cause issue in terms of what you're talking about, and is we want them to think every day, this is what I have to spend. The rest is going to go to the essentials. And the way I think about it is instead of you working, actually, I stole this from my CFO. If instead of you working for your paycheck, make your paycheck work for you. So imagine a world where you don't live paycheck to paycheck, but your employer owes up money. We know the employer is going to pay you. We can leverage that money now into a micro 401k or a micro investment. So now you're leveraging and optimizing your own cash, even though you don't live paycheck to paycheck. So there's some amazing things we can do there to really reframe how funds flow. In our economy, there's $2 trillion tied up in payroll funds right now. They're just sitting there dormant. They're not invested, right? So we're loosening some of that so people can buy essentials, but you can do so much more with it.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, let's get into some smaller groups so everybody can share their thoughts on the presentation, ZayZoon's model. If you have other things you're looking for help with or want to offer to the community, that is what we can chat about. So the time is 12:43, so we probably have time for probably 2 or 3 spins around the networking here. So I will create the rooms. Welcome back. All righty, folks, welcome back. Hopefully you had some great time connecting and meeting new friends. Just want to say a really big thank you to Darcy and congrats on all your success with ZayZoon, and we'll be watching as to where things go next for you. If you would like to leave a way to connect, or I'm sure we can all find you on LinkedIn, bombard you on LinkedIn, that would be fantastic. So huge thanks, Darcy. I'll turn it over to everyone for community announcements. I'm going to put the scorecard report in the chat, so please feel free again to have a read through that. Exciting stuff there. And I see some hands up. Go ahead, Gary I know Gary has an announcement.
Okay, my company the last one I'm in, iGuard Fire, which is a stove protection thing, just got selected by Cab High and the Ontario Centre for Brain Research, which is funded by Brookfield, to be the best new product this year in that world. And it comes with a $300,000 investment package, half as a safe and half as shares. And we also get into their 3-month long accelerator program. So good luck, good job, guys.
Congrats, fantastic news, fantastic news. I put the wrong link in the chat there, so there's the right one. Sorry about that. Way to go, Gary, that's awesome. V and L in that order, I guess.
Yeah, I put a link in the chat. It's for a fact-finding meeting with my email. If you want an invitation to that, just send me an email. I'll send you an invitation. And it's just a fact-finding mission on the Canada Digital Adoption Program. So I want to put together a group of people who can do the assessments for digital adoption, and then also support implementing any of the recommendations out of the roadmap report. So if you're interested in any of that, send me an email. I'll send you a link.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll go to Al.
Hey everybody, I usually plug the Rainforest podcast at every Rainforest meeting, and I'd love it if you could join us and listen to the podcast, become a host or a guest. But I'd also actually like to extend that plug to sponsorships. One of the things that keeps us going is sponsorships. So if you have a company and you'd like to get a little exposure, please reach out to me and be interested in talking to you about sponsoring the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast for Rainforest Alberta. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Al, and thanks for all your hard work on the podcast. Peter?
As you may know already, you could win a $5,000 shopping spree at Ridley Cycle. So if anybody's interested in a fancy e-bike or just a pedal bike for your family, there's tickets at the site that I put there. You can buy one for $10 or you can buy 30 for $100. And it's raising money for the Children's Hospice, which is a very crazy place over by the Children's Hospital, but we actually look after the kids so the parents can get away during a really difficult time. And we've raised over $3 million over 5 years doing this. So get involved with your $10 ticket and hopefully you'll win $5,000 shopping spree at Ridley Cycle. And they actually donated it. So if you're thinking about a bicycle, that's a great place to buy it.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Peter. On that note, we've hit the top of the hour. So we wish you all a great rest of the week. And we'll see you on our Slack channel where the conversation can continue online. Thank you again to Darcy and ZayZoon. And we do keep the meeting room open if anyone wants to stay and keep chatting. Have a great week, everybody.